So who will replace General John Kelly as the president's chief of staff? That's the question buzzing around Washington, D.C. this morning. Yesterday, 3 members from within the president's own cabinet who are under consideration signaled that they're not really interested in the job. But another top contender, Republican Congressman Mark Meadows, who chairs the House Freedom Caucus, well, he seemed open to the idea.
I'm honored to be considered. I've got one job right now, and that's representing the people of Western North Carolina. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'll continue to focus on. And yet, at the same time, any time that your name's floated to help the President of the United States accomplish things for the American people, it's flattering.
All right, so another contender who is getting a lot of buzz, Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, who has faced backlash for his appointment to that position. Washington Post White House Bureau Chief and MSNBC political analyst Phil Rucker has been covering this story. He joins us live from Washington. Phil, good to have you with us this morning. So, you report that the president really had no plan B after Nick Ayers, Vice President Pence's chief of staff, turned him down. Where does the president go from here? What's going on behind the scenes in the West Wing when you see so many of these high-profile names on the list saying thanks but no thanks, some already serving in the president's cabinet?
Well, you're right. As we reported, there was no plan B, and so the president is back to square one, trying to survey a broad array of names. He's been making a ton of phone calls to his friends, family members, associates, bringing in staffers to ask what they think, floating a lot of different names to try to crowdsource this, to get people's opinions on the matter. He feels like he has until the end of this month to make that decision. That's according to people who've been talking about it with him. So he's not in any sort of urgent rush to select somebody today, for example, although I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But at the moment, he also feels free that he doesn't have John Kelly as chief of staff anymore. He had felt very restrained under Kelly, was eager for Kelly to leave, had delayed making any sort of move to remove Kelly for a long time now, but finally did it over the weekend and feels ready for a new chapter.
So let me get your thoughts on how Jared Kushner reacted to this. He spoke about the search late last night in a rare interview. Watch.
The president will make the right choice for chief of staff when he's ready, and hopefully he'll choose somebody he's got great chemistry with, great relationship with, who will help him navigate the next couple of years through all of the good opportunities that emerge to keep pushing forward.
So we obviously know the president trusts them very much, and we know that previous people who have filled in that position, who have sat in that position as chief of staff, they didn't actually, in some cases, didn't get along with Ivanka and Jared. So I'm curious to get your thoughts in terms of how much Jared and Ivanka play in this search, how much say do they have, and could they themselves actually be one of the reasons why people, potential candidates, don't want to take this job?
Well, it's certainly, having family members serving on the staff in the White House in that mixed role has been problematic for other staffers these past 2 years. That's true. Jared and Ivanka both played a big role in helping influence the decision to remove Kelly. They were seen internally as big advocates for Nick Ayers to take the job, although Nick Ayers, as we've just discussed, turned down the president for that role. And so I think at this point they're trying to see who the president is going to be looking at. But the problem for Trump, he boasted on Twitter this morning that he has so many people wanting this job, that it's the best job in Washington. 10 people are vying for it. That's not really true. A lot of the most qualified, seasoned people in town don't want to be anywhere near the chief of staff position. Even people in Trump's own cabinet who are under consideration for the job have signaled through their intermediaries, and certainly I assume to the president himself, that they're not really that interested. They prefer to stay in their current roles because this is a job where people's reputations get damaged, where you really can't control the president. You can't enforce the sort of discipline that you might like inside the White House. It's very much Trump's White House. He operates as his own chief of staff, and that can make this a very difficult job.
Yeah, you can even look at Mark Meadows' comments and say that was a bit of a, more about political politeness and not necessarily sincerity, saying that he would consider. But I know that you've been talking about the president's frustration. In fact, you wrote about this process, saying although aides said the president is committed to finding a replacement for Kelly before the Christmas holiday, they say he has been vacillating, vacillating, casting about in all corners for potential picks and frustrated by news coverage depicting his White House as a place where talented people do not want to work. The president, as we said earlier, and even with that tweet this morning, he had a slightly different take. In this morning's tweet, he said fake news has it purposefully wrong. Many, over 10, are vying for and wanting the White House Chief of Staff position. Why wouldn't someone want one of the truly great and meaningful jobs in Washington? Please report news correctly. Thank you. So is that what you're seeing when he says like more than 10 people vying for the job? Do we have any idea who these 10 people are? Are they credible? Are they political operatives, experienced people? Or is he just throwing that number out there?
Well, what we're reporting is actually accurate. The president did not have a plan B. He was turned down by his top choice for this job. Other people that he would like to consider for the job are not interested in the job. That said, there are a number of people who are in the mix for this job, including Congressman Mark Meadows, Dave Bossie, the president's former deputy campaign manager, Matt Whitaker, the acting attorney general, who's become close to the president the last few weeks through a number of interactions, and others as well are in the mix, but it's very much sort of an open field right now. And the trouble for President Trump is he doesn't like the news coverage depicting sort of chaos or disorder or things not going according to plan inside his West Wing. But he decided to make a move on removing John Kelly as Chief of Staff without having firmed up a replacement. And so right now he does not have a Chief of Staff in line for next year.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.